Hello, everyone.
Live.
We're live. Welcome to episode 3 of Dodo Biscuits. I'm Joseph Magnolia, and my co-host David Raritich. Dan is out today. So here we are with John Bardong, also known as Archduke. And first topic, let's start with the Dee Gees, the Bee Gees cover band by the Foo Fighters.
I brought my copy for this occasion. Oh, you gotta get this in the frame.
Yeah. So this is Dave's topic. We're gonna let Dave lead us off with some info.
Basically, Foo Fighters did a little love letter to the Bee Gees with the Dee Gees, which was released on Record Store Day. I think the second of 3 record store days. The pandemic, they split them up into multiple RSDs, and if you can see some of the videos on YouTube, it's hard, I could describe that it's actually almost perfect in terms of recreation, and it was done, from what I understand, live to tape. I'm not sure if that's true. I've read that anecdotally, but they did it in just a single take, live as you hear it, onto tape. And apparently, this has been quite the collector's item now. So that's why I'm bragging about this, because it's been going for some good money on eBay because everyone picked it up. Only one side is Bee Gees covers. The other side is some Foo Fighters tracks, Making a Fire, Shame, Shame, Waiting on a War. So it's only like a half of an album.
Yeah, 5 songs off their first album.
The other side has some good Foo Fighters live tracks as well. So I think it's worth picking up.
The Dee Gees, I wanted to ask you, you said live to tape. Are the videos live to tape?
I don't know. I don't know if they filmed that. Sorry, John, maybe you know.
No, unfortunately,
I did watch them. One of them's a formal music video, and one of them it looks like it's recorded live. It's done very well. And they also, the drummer for the Foo Fighters actually sings a Queen song in one of the videos I found. So it looks like the Foo Fighters have become more of a cover band in their later years, where they just kind of
their own stuff.
They just kind of don't care, and they're just doing whatever they want because nothing gets on the radio anymore anyway. So what does it matter?
I've noticed that with with a lot of bands too. There's bands that have done covers of other bands, and even so, I think even some of our pop stars today, they've even covered older bands, but it's like everyone does a cover of somebody else. If you're talking about I'm sorry, when you're talking about Franz Ferdinand before, I mean, they did a cover of Gwen Stefani's What You Waiting For, so
right.
You would not expect that, but that's hidden.
Weezer's Teal album is all covers, or whatever color
they are.
Seems to be the trend.
By the way, the official name is Hail Satin,
Satin
EP, I want to say. Yeah, so it contains it's 5 songs, I said, 5 Bee Gees songs, and then 5 live songs from their album Medicine at Midnight. Sorry. So that's what you get for that album. And it actually originally was a vinyl only exclusive, but I think they released it digitally, so you could buy it anywhere you want to.
Yeah,
I'm looking up that live to tape factoid, Joe. Give me 1 second.
Sure. I mean, if you guys want to do a Google search, look up, Taylor Hawkins singing Queen, Somebody to Love. And he's actually a really good singer. And I just thought he played drums. So I was very surprised by that.
You have to have a lot of chops to cover a Queen song. So I have to give that a listen and see for myself.
I mean, it doesn't sound like Freddie Mercury, but nobody does. But when I was looking up the Dee Gees, that popped up. There isn't, I mean, the songs I heard I liked. I'm not even a Bee Gees fan, but
everybody's a Bee Gees fan.
I can't complain about what they did. I don't hate the Bee Gees. I just not
you can listen to a lot of their older stuff before the disco. Even their movie, I don't know if you ever seen Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The music's not terrible. I mean, they're all Beatles covers. Speaking of cover versions, and they're not going to hold the candle, right, the Beatles originals, but they're not terrible what they covered. Although a lot of it was Peter Frampton doing the singing. So It was Frampton and the Bee Gees, and then George Burns occasionally. Yeah, you got to hear that to really understand what I'm talking about. I think it's out of print now, though.
The Dee Gees.
Hail
The
Satin.
Dee Gees is out of print already?
Uh-huh.
It can't be.
They only released it for Record Store Day. Record Store Day is a ripoff where they make people buy albums they don't really want for fear of missing out.
They just sold out. All right.
How many copies did they make? Do you know about how much was produced?
I want to say a few thousand, so let me see. I mean, it's a decent amount, but 12,000 copies.
Okay, so there.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, of course, that's going to sell out.
Yeah,
I mean,
Foo Fighters. I don't know if you ever indulged with Record Store Day, but a lot of the stuff that's limited releases, you'll find them throughout the years, throughout years to follow. But some of these things like Foo Fighters sell out quickly.
Sure. Next topic. There's actually kind of a combo topic, but we'll start with it's the mention of Clerks 3 getting made and the trailer for Licorice Pizza, and the rivalry between Kevin Smith and Paul Thomas Anderson, the directors of the respective films. So let's start with Clerks 3. Dave, your thoughts?
Well, I'm a big Clerks fan. So, I mean, I can't quote the movie, but I do. Clerks, I don't know if you remember when Clerks first came out, that was a really huge deal. Because, finally the Gen X slackers had a movie to call their own.
Yeah. Well, it was a big hit in terms of an independent film.
Yeah.
It had a budget of like 27,000, and then they put another 230,000 into post-production.
A lot of that was the soundtrack, actually.
It grossed, I believe it. It grossed $3.2 million.
Soundgarden ain't cheap.
Yeah.
Not Soundgarden, I'm sorry, Soul Asylum.
Well, I'm guessing the studio, after he got it into some festivals, gave him money for the soundtrack. My understanding was he put a lot of it on his credit cards and just made it.
Initial filming was on his own dime by selling, maxing out his cards, selling off his comic books. But then, once he got the studio, Miramax involved.
His mom was actually catering at one point. No joke. Yeah, his mom showed up actual food for the cast. That was literally all on him. That's what's really impressive about that type of film. I'm actually kind of excited if he's making a Clerks 3, because they came up with Super Troopers 2. And this should be an actual continuation of, like, as you said, the slackers. I don't know how you can't quote that movie, though, because 37 can I say that even? Yeah, that has got to be the highlight of that film.
So you could edit that out to say 37 ducks.
Pretty much.
I thought he was talking about a guy named Richard. Clerks 2 had made $5 million and grossed $27 million in the box office.
Ooh, delicious.
And I mean, I didn't think Clerks 2 was as good as the first one.
It's not gonna be as good, but it's still great, I think.
I felt like he was coming off of Jersey Girl, which was considered a flop because it only grossed $1 million and then some change, and was critically panned. And all his prior movies were fairly well received, with the exception of Mallrats, which is strange.
Mallrats did well.
No, yeah. Mallrats, box office wise, cost $6 million and only grossed $2 million. It was a video hit after the fact.
But I mean, there still has its fan. You're always going to have the Kevin Smith fans. Yeah. Kevin Smith comes with his own fan base. That's the thing about Kevin Smith.
He does. I am not one of them.
You're not a Kevin Smith fan? I mean, I could take him or leave him. I liked Jay and Silent Bob Reboot more than I thought I would when I saw it.
I give up watching his stuff after Zach and Miri make a porno.
Yeah, it's not. Okay, I'm talking about View Askew-universe.
Yeah,
because that's basically. I mean, he has other movies like Jack and Miri make a porno. He has the He-Man reboot, which I guess is not really.
Oh, I actually like the He-Man reboot. I didn't think I thought.
Yeah, his fans, He-Man fans, are not happy about that. But I don't care. I couldn't care less about He-Man. I gotta be honest.
I thought it was an interesting take.
No, I think it's great to have a new take on things. I don't see why it's why people would get upset, but The original He-Man cartoon was not Shakespeare. Let's be honest.
No.
It was designed to sell toys.
Yes.
Yeah.
It costs more money to produce than other animated shows, but was actually cheaper animation because it was all done in America, where the other shows like G.I. Joe and Transformers were outsourced to Korean and Japanese animation studios.
You ever see the Clerks cartoon?
I did their flashback episode in episode 2 or whatever it was.
But you gotta see the whole 6 of them because they only released 2 episodes out of order.
Yeah.
And the first one they aired when the Korean animators finished the end of the episode. It was brilliant. He's a funny dude. He's got good stuff. He has his lovable characters. Clerks 2 I liked a lot because I thought it was a natural progression from 20-something slackers to 30-something people who haven't launched yet and still kind of struggling to hold on to their youth while just working a job to make ends meet.
I mean, it's a bit of a dream though to think that someone who works as a store clerk is going to be able to scrape enough money to buy his own store and marry a girl that looks like
he got a loan from Jay and Silent Bob. Spoiler alert.
Marry a girl that looks like Rosario Dawson. That just doesn't.
I think that was lampshaded, not to quote TV tropes, but that was lampshaded by Randall at one point in the film. Okay. How do you always have two girls fighting over you? That's so yeah. It was addressed. It was not. Well, it didn't go unaddressed.
Yeah, but still, it's just.
You can question the logic of any film you come across. It's
the original had a bit of sense of realism to it, which the second one did not.
Yeah, I feel like the second one was that kind of drawn out of like a lot of kind of forced in of working fast food restaurant, as you said, between 20-year-olds to 30-year-olds just trying to progress forward in life while doing whatever. Well, Clerks 1 was that in depth of like living in New Jersey, got to go in and go to work it was all on a Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And it just was your kind of slice of life kind of deal from Clerks 1. And that's what I think that's what's the type of stuff I'm attracted to, between like any kind of slice of life stuff. It's just this casual grind of a daily life. And I guess, like, I don't know, maybe it follows the script of Seinfeld, which is like find humor in nothing.
Yeah.
Kind of like that kind of deal. I mean, if Clerks 3 can come out to something like that, where it's like, it goes along the grind instead of like going over the top. Because I noticed after he came with Clerks, his movies kind of took that level of how can I put this, like just over the top fantasy, like with James Silent Bob Strike Back, and then there's like Dogma, like
that was the problem with Mallrats. Actually, it kind of lost his voice in terms of realism. He suddenly had Silent Bob swinging through the rafters as Batman, and
yeah, I mean, it's just the craziness of it all too, just being the weirdness. But I guess that's that was what it was between the late 90s and through early 2000s, was these weird films. Like, I still laugh at like Euro Trip, where the guy flicks a nickel at the guy and it's like, I should build my own hotel. It was one of those, it's like it follows that weirdness of like, well, it just goes off into this weird tangent. There was no real connection, and it's just some weird, it just here and there. Like, I know a lot of films now, they try and follow the same tangent, but some of the stuff just went off into 90 degrees, and it's like, where's this coming from all of a sudden?
His last
surprise.
His last 5 films were all box office bombs. Red State, Tusk, Yoga Hosers, Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Go ahead.
No, go on. So what's the last one? Sorry.
Jay and Silent Bob reboot. All financial flops for him.
Okay, the first 3 are not Buick Universe, so I think he has to stay away from doing non-Buick Universe. And
Cop Out, that was the Bruce Willis one where he hated working with Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
that was one of his biggest hits. 55.6 million it pulled in on a $30 million budget.
Kevin Smith is a YouTube star before YouTube existed. He was like the original fan base. Because you see some of these people on YouTube who have large fan bases. I want to say the Angry Video Game Nerd, the Nostalgia Critic. they're not going to sell out box office seats. But they're going to have a huge fan base that's going to go and see anything they do.
Well, I mean,
Not so
his
much
last,
nostalgia critic anymore, but
if you look at like here, Tusk,
Tusk.
that
No one
had
wanted
a
to see Tusk. I
it
don't
had
even know what
a
that's about.
it had a $3 million budget.
They want to see Jay and Silent Bob selling drugs and hanging out with Dante,
and it grossed 1.9. And if you compare it to one of his earlier films, like Dogma had a $10 million budget and grossed $44 million. I mean, if we're going just by box office, forget about critical acclaim at this point.
I like Dogma actually.
But I mean, so he has made movies that have made huge money, and I some of it might be marketing, because I didn't know about these last 5 films
I mean,
at all.
those are Viewers Universe movies.
I just feel like maybe the marketing has failed with some of these films, because
No, nobody wants to see a Kevin Smith movie that's not a BA.
Yeah, I feel like it is part marketing too, or even if it's just word of mouth from there. Some of these films I haven't heard of. Some of these films I know there was not much interest in, but like there's also some that I think someone bought the rights to, and eventually got them on cable.
so
There's a lot more people.
he's just
that.
stuck making Viewers Universe films. That's it. Like he's not allowed to branch out and try something different. I feel like someone should
and
be
it just doesn't
pigeonholed.
work out for him too well. And it
And
does work.
The only reason he made those Viewers Universe films was because he liked comic books so much, and that wasn't happening in the 90s. And you got to give somebody credit for at least doing that, making a bunch of movies that all interconnect, which how Marvel does.
Everyone has their niche, sometimes.
Well,
and I think Reboot would have done better if it was not like Modern Times. When did that come out? Did that come out during the pandemic? Or
yeah, I think it probably took some pandemic hits with it.
Because that came out like right on Amazon Prime, like immediately almost. And I was like, okay, it's like a straight to cable movie.
You can almost give people a pass for any films released in 2020, 2021.
Yeah, I think that was the problem with Reboot. So, the other ones, and I guess it is marketing too. It's they're not going to give him the films that are given to people like Spielberg or who
he wrote. He did write Superman Lives. I don't know if anyone ever saw that documentary, which I thought actually he had some good ideas. But then Tim Burton came in and completely changed his script and made his own story, which he also had some good ideas.
I just think conventionally he's not the best writer director. I just think he has his niche.
Right. He's not a very visual director.
Yeah, no.
He has witty dialogue, and
sometimes it's forced.
He has some good jokes, but overall his plots tend to suffer, and his characters, I mean, Chasing Amy can be a very painful film to watch if you're not into that kind of story.
I've seen Chasing Amy like maybe twice.
Yeah, that's too many times.
Yeah, I think I only saw it once.
And that's his biggest hit in terms of box office versus budget too, is Chasing Amy.
Well, he was making a straight film with Chasing Amy. I think he was trying to do something that was more mature, which was kind of a direct result of Mallrats, where he had a 3-nippled Priscilla Barnes reading fortune telling. So, I don't know anything about this. I've never actually heard about Licorice Pizza. So if you guys want to fill me in.
Licorice Pizza is the latest film by Paul Thomas Anderson. It is actually stars Cooper Hoffman, Seymour Hoffman's son, in the role. It's about just a teenager who falls in love in California in the 70s. Has a Boogie Nights vibe to it, I suppose, which is Paul Thomas Anderson's biggest hit to date. I would say not his best movie, a great film, but
what do you say his best movie is?
Magnolia, which there's two types of people who you get Magnolia and you love it, or you just don't understand it and you go, well, Boogie Nights is better. And that's pretty much
I have to give it a watch again. It's been a while.
Magnolia is one of these intersecting stories that all the characters kind of have their separate little storylines, and they interconnect in various ways that in some points you don't even realize unless you're looking for it. It's done in a very smart, clever way. It's not like that stupid movie Love Actually. This is done in a way that is,
Like Love
is
Actually.
Yeah.
is Dan
I
Love
think I
Actually.
briefly watched the trailer. I think what you're trying to find the word for is puppy love. With the way when I saw the trailer,
Yeah, that's accurate.
it's teens in the 70s, puppy love. It's a child actor who's coming of age, and it's really just this, being that teen going into adulthood and like having teen friends. It's that whole level between I have no idea what I'm doing, I'm confident I know what I'm doing, I still have no idea what I'm doing, and hopefully I know what I'm doing. It's that kind of, and it's in the 70s, so you got that retro aspect to it too. And what is it between manager and just actors? And I think it's just that whole Hollywood child actor thing with some PTSD. I don't know how many child actors get PTSD, but it might come from this somewhere. But again, this looks like it's one of those films where it's like, what's funny? I think that the female characters, I heard the name Barbara Streisand at one point. I'm like, is this about Barbara Streisand?
I think she someone's acting as her in the film at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So apparently the name Licorice Pizza was a chain of record stores. I've just been following the chain that was bought out by Sam Goody in the 80s, I guess. But yeah, so I wonder if it takes place at a record store or something.
I saw more, it looked like a TV kind of backdrop setting or film backdrop setting. But there wasn't much in the trailer. Just it's a love story and you want to kind of find out what happens.
Yeah, I couldn't get that. I couldn't glean that much from it.
The love interest, she's a bit older than the boy, but not that much older. Just he's like a teenager and she's in college, is my guess. So she feels a little weird about it. Overall, though, there is a Kevin Smith, Paul Thomas Anderson rivalry that dates back to Kevin Smith bashing Magnolia. I have quotes here from Kevin Smith about the movie. They sent me an Academy screener DVD of Magnolia this week. I'll never watch it again, but I will keep it. I'll keep it right on my desk as a constant reminder that a bloated sense of self-importance is the most unattractive quality in a person or their work. He also likens the film to a cinematic root canal. So Smith hated Magnolia.
I have to go see this movie now.
What I found to be kind of shocking is Kevin Smith, as a filmmaker who knows how hard it is to make anything, would go around and just publicly bash somebody's work like that.
Yeah.
And I know we're going back a good 20 years, but maybe he's learned since then. It's just interesting that if you look at their careers, Smith has pulled in $265 million in box office sales versus $671 million in box office for Paul Thomas Anderson, if I'm reading this correctly.
I mean, that doesn't really tell you anything, to be honest with you. It's not like there's a contest between the two. Because is there like a large fan base for Anderson? Does he have his built-in audience there?
I would think so. The funny thing, from when I was looking at it, though, it looked like Paul Thomas Anderson's films, they always tend to like break even. He doesn't have mega box office hits except for Boogie Nights and There Will Be Blood. Yeah. Either tend to break even or actually fall a little short, where Smith consistently in the 90s into the early 2000s was just churning out hit films that were,
you playing the role of the network, of the studio executive. It's like, Kevin, your films not grossing like they used to, but Anderson over here has grossed 10 times your amount. I'm just making up a number.
Yeah, well, it's 671 million versus 265 million when you total it out.
That doesn't say anything.
If you remove his last 5 films, if you remove Kevin Smith's last 5 films, then he's pulled in about 200, a lot more. I think we're in the billions, actually.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I don't I don't think
256 million. I'm sorry.
I'm not. I'm not really taking sides between the two. To be honest with you, they could both make great movies, and I could see both of them, or I could see neither of them. Doesn't It's
I would always choose Paul Thomas Anderson over.
the whole thing with choices. We could see both. It's
True.
not like remember the console wars. Everyone's like, I have a Sega, I have a Nintendo. Well, now we could just buy both. They're
This
adults.
console wars still go on between PS and
But
Xbox, but yeah.
one is
both. Yay.
better quality. I would say Paul Thomas Anderson just makes a better quality film.
Again, it's Kevin Smith has his niche. Anderson is a more of a traditional film director who makes a very well composed film with interesting visuals and great dialogue, and it's good pacing. And Kevin Smith is just having the Gilmore Girl conversations between funny characters who are recognizable, and half the appeal of Kevin Smith is like, oh, Jay and Silent Bob here again. They're gonna do shtick, and Dante's gonna clean, and Randall's gonna say something funny, and et cetera, et cetera.
So then, where does Kevin Smith go off ever bashing Paul Thomas Anderson? Is
Kevin Smith, he's no different than anyone else on Twitter or Facebook.
No. I feel the other thing too I'm interested about is where do they get their backing from? Because I know if Kevin Smith started out with like backing himself, and then Anderson probably did his own stuff. But if you notice, each one has his own niche, and it's like a signature to their own name of how they do film.
All right.
Who backs these things exactly?
Well, the studio. So I can give you Anderson's right now. The Goldwyn Company, New Line Cinema, Sony, Paramount, Weinstein Company, Warner, Focus Features / Universal, and MGM.
The whole Weinstein thing with Kevin Smith is a little bit of a bone of contention.
I actually do give Smith credit for taking the profits he's made off Weinstein and now donating them because he's got plenty of money. That's actually a good gesture on his part.
Unfortunately, the Weinstein ownership has precluded having a decent box set made for the View Askew movies, because 15 different studios own all these movies.
That is true. I'm trying to find Smith's.
I think there's one movie that won't ever, Dogma, I think it's not gonna be re-released ever again, I don't think, at least in the foreseeable future. But I forget who owns that, Weinstein?
I can't find any quick notes on it. I'd have to do some more research on.
Do you have any slow notes on it
then? Give me a couple of hours. I could track.
Yeah, just go down the rabbit hole as far as you can.
Yeah.
Do you want me to sing a show tune in the meantime while you look up your notes?
No, it's not uncommon for filmmakers to jump around with studios and distributors, whoever's going to fund their project.
So whoever has the money to lay out is gonna.
Yeah.
He didn't have a multi-picture deal with any of these people, I don't think. I don't know how that works, but back in the day, I have a 10-picture deal with the what's it called, Brian Grazer or whoever.
Those have come back, multi-picture studio deals.
What happened?
They've come back, those multi-picture studio deals. So that was the old Hollywood system was you were contracted to a studio, like Jimmy Stewart was with, I don't know, RKO or whoever, and they might loan them out to a different company.
Yeah, we're borrowing Judy Garland for this movie,
and somebody pays the studios pay each other for that, and the studio just picks your roles. You have no choice; you just do it. And as the years went on, around the 70s, they started phasing it out, and it was gone by the 80s and 90s. In fact, Eddie Murphy
did make crappy movies.
Eddie Murphy was the last guy to sign a multi-picture deal with the studio.
I mean, for every Beverly Hills Cop, they made him do what was that? The Distinguished Gentleman.
The Golden
Child. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
Boomerang.
Those were the 90s when I don't think he had a choice in his roles.
Oh yeah, he had a multi-picture deal with Paramount, and they put out some good movies, and then they put out Best Defense, and it's like, okay,
yeah,
gotta do it.
And then so it went away, and it seems like it comes back. So Channing Tatum ended up in the first G.I. Joe movie, and he says how much he hated it and he didn't want to do it, but the studio made him because he had a contract with him.
Be an actor.
Yeah, boo-hoo. Poor Channing Tatum.
Man. I was just thinking about this the other day. I don't want to go off topic here, but for every actor who has an A-list movie deal, there's 10,000 actors who have to fight for job at some birthday party place to pretend to be a princess or something.
Yeah, they would love to be signed to a studio and just be
Or they're doing like a herpes commercial on TV. I always feel bad for these people who are doing like the drug commercials and they have to pretend to have this horrible disease and act all happy about it.
You wake up in the morning, go to sleep at night.
Joey Tribbiani has VD.
Yes, and they go biking with their husband, and while all these terrible side effects are being listed off, might cause diarrhea of the mouth, like I have right now.
So, I mean, I could not find anything on the internet about this, but I remember hearing about this, that the reason Paul Thomas Anderson made Punch Drunk Love was because Kevin Smith dared him to make a 90-minute romantic comedy, and that it actually timed out to 89 minutes and 59 seconds. But I could not find anywhere and confirm if that's true.
If you can confirm that, that'll be awesome, because I think it's who was it that dared Dr. Seuss to make a 50-word book, and that's where Green Eggs and Ham came from. I think it was. It was one of those bets. Like, I bet you can't make a book out of 50 words, and that's what it was.
I'm trying to see if I can find some text on that because I can't look at any interviews right now. But I will let you know if I find something while you're.
Punch Drunk Love also, I mean, that proved Adam Sandler could act. I don't think anyone knew he could do that before that, because he was doing films like Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison, which are funny films, but not necessarily well acted films.
Yeah, that's just him being goofy.
Mm-hmm. But Anderson got a great performance out of an actor who wasn't known for that type of acting at the time,
right?
And really hasn't done it as often since either. So,
what are you talking about? Sanders?
I'm talking about Paul Thomas Anderson and Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler. I mean, the only time I've seen Adam Sandler like more serious probably was, what is the film, Grown Ups? I mean, he's still funny, but it's like there was like that level of like, he has to be serious, as opposed to like the earlier films where it's like he's just like 5-year-old.
True, he was growing up, right?
Once he hit the age of having kids, his comedy veered more towards making parents laugh instead of making college kids laugh.
Well, he grew up with the audience, I guess.
Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of Grown Ups.
I did like Sandler did this movie, The Week Of, which was about like his daughter getting married, and he had no money, so it was made on like this very cheap budget. I thought it was a very, very good film. Underappreciated, I think, by most people. And Uncut Gems is another good Sandler film.
Check it out.
All right. I think that's everything. Dave,
I think we've hit a 10-minute mark. So
yeah. Dave's of the opinion of just watch both films. I'm of the opinion Paul Thomas Anderson over Kevin Smith any day.
Again, why do you have to choose? Watch whatever you want, man. I'm not here to make your decisions for you.
And John, your choices?
I mean, I'm gonna have to probably see. I mean, I'm never much of a fan of the rom-coms, so I'm probably on the side of like Kevin Smith. I guess as David said, there's a niche in the fan base, and I'm part of that fan base because Clerks is right there on the top. The other films that Smith has made, they're so, but like Clerks is a very memorable film kind of deal to me.
I want to see Clerks 3 no matter what, definitely.
Oh yeah, just go see it. Just like when they came up with Super Troopers 2, you have to go see it.
Yeah, I still have to see that movie.
So, no, it's something you have to probably go see.
All right, this concludes our episode of Dodo Biscuits.
Oh, that was all topics? I thought we had a third one. Yes, that was combined.
That was a combo topic. Retirement Disaster at the Outer Limits 1-Minute Film Festival in Franklin Square on November 6th. Dave, who are you?
I have, again, my Twitter, Dave TV Games, TEVE, and my YouTube channel, TV Games, TEEVE Games. Nothing else.
John, anything going on? Any plays? Anything?
Not much in the theater world. Just still renovations, but I still I have to get back into uploading artwork to my Instagram page at Archduke, and from there, it's just keep going. I mean, I do have one painting in right now for a judge competition. We'll see how that goes over.
Archduke with no E, is that correct?
Right.
paintings. What paintings?
Depends. I've worked with either between spray painting and I've been dabbling with the pours. So it's like it's an acrylic based stuff, completely relentless and unforgiving. Absolute mess. I actually had to build like special like cardboard pan trays just to like contain like a 48 by 40 painting, so it just drips down the sides. Like that's actually.
I'll go on Instagram. I'll still send me your work and post.
Yeah, you can do Instagram. Instagram name is ARCHDUK and just repeat it. And it's mostly like street artwork kind of stuff. So
great. All right, guys.
I am. Oh, that's nice.
Thank you very much, and maybe we'll see you next week. Don't bother liking or subscribing because we don't really care.
Subscribe if you want to, but if you don't want to like and subscribe here, like and subscribe over at my YouTube channel because I'm almost at 540. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I like to play with toys.